Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back.
So at the end of the last episode, right after you logged off, another
Mhm.
golem spawned over here, but I filled this in completely, and so I feel like maybe
Well, and now I want to breed some more villagers in there as well.
you think that'll increase
Try
the
to-
rate of
It's
golem
supposed to
spawn.
increase the rate, but I don't know if they need to be in a specific configuration.
Oh God.
Oh, you just flew away and like a skeleton was chasing you almost, it looked like, but he must have spawned like literally as you flew out of range because he was literally behind you as you as your wings like lifted up. It's kind of funny. Oh, fish. But yeah, I was in Ohio again this weekend,
Right.
and they started to open up restaurants over the weekend,
Uh-huh.
and so we ended up going out to a restaurant. And contrary to I know things that you've experienced, they were being extremely oh god dang it, some guy just shot me. They were being extremely, we can only have like 50% capacity. These are the only seats that are open. Uh, type of deal. And it's very strange because we tried to call before we went there because of the fact that we didn't know how, is there going to be a lot of people trying to rush to the restaurant and we're not going to be able to get in, and we have, you know, big family and stuff. How do we do this? Um, I don't understand why restaurants do this, and this has nothing to do with COVID, but they said the interior seating of the restaurant we can take reservations for. The patio, which is outside, first come first serve.
Yeah, I've noticed that too, that all restaurants do that. I don't understand either
And
why.
I just can't fathom what the rationale for that is. And I understand if you're trying to keep a specific spot open for maybe walk-ins and you expect that everybody's going to be there, but why would it be the patio, which is, in some of the, summer days or whatever, people like to be outside, like the more desirable
I mean, maybe
spots.
that's why, is because it is the more desirable spot. But I feel like sometimes it's the opposite. A lot of people. I mean, I know for me, if it's hot, I want to be inside. Like,
And I almost tried to tell them to go inside at one point because we walked over there because it wasn't too far from, her parents' house. Upstairs, damn it. It wasn't too far from her parents' house, so we walked over there, and it was. I didn't realize that in Columbus it was fucking 86 degrees all weekend. So it was hot, and I was not used to that level of heat.
right.
And, oh, the skeleton's in my boat. So we were outside waiting, and while we were waiting for the seat to open up that when you could accommodate us, I was just like, man, let's just go inside. Let's just go. It's empty inside. Let's just go inside where there's air conditioning and stuff because it was so freaking hot.
Right.
But luckily we got a seat in the shade because the first place they tried to seat us, and this was funny because there was the patio, it was about 50% capacity, like every other table set was open, like there was clearly 6 feet of distance between each table, so they were doing it right. And I never went inside, so I didn't see what they were doing inside, but apparently it was empty in there. And a group of people first got up from a side table that was in the shade, and then a group of people got up from a table that was literally like there was no umbrella and it was directly in the sunlight, and it was just like
That
a
sounds
couple,
awful.
but they were next to this other table that was together. And I was making jokes with Julia's dad, and I was like, "Is this the table that they put people that they don't like or something?" Like, did the umbrella break? Did these people ask for it not to be there, or is this just like the "f you" sit at this table because we
Right.
don't like you table? Because I mean, it's got to be freaking hot out there. So we were all like laughing about that. And after about like 20 minutes, the guy comes out to us, and he's like, "Oh, your table's ready. You guys want this one here? You want to put a bunch of chairs around it, or you just want to pull these tables together?" And we just looked at him and we said, "You can't sit at this table. Like it's in the direct sunlight. We have 2 children here with us. There's no way that the kids can deal with this
Right.
heat. Let alone I want to deal with this heat." And this guy looked at us like we were the biggest assholes in the world.
Really?
And he was like, "Well," and so I think there's a reason for it. And he looked at us and he goes, well, I only got," and he said it like as if he owns the restaurant or something. He's like, "I only got eight tables at this patio because of social distancing and such. So this is the only option you got." And Julia's dad and I were like standing there because the grandma and mom had taken the kids over to like a little like strip of grass in the corner to play while we were waiting. It was like a strip mall type of deal. And we were just like, no, like we saw some people leave from back there at a table that's in the shade that we were thinking that you guys were like getting ready for us because they left before this table did. And the guy like looked at us and he goes, okay, I'll go check. And he like said it like like we were just fucking incompetent people that didn't know what was going on. And all of a sudden he came back, like he grabbed a bottle and started cleaning the table because clearly, like all of a sudden there was this table around the corner that was open that he obviously hadn't seen, but I think he probably had dealt with people getting like angry about stuff before, and it was just like we are the biggest jerks in the world. And then the thing is, he never said anything about that after the fact.
Really?
So it was just a oh, okay, basically you seem to have been right, but I'll just say, okay, here, right this way to your table instead of like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize this table was open or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was just a, oh yeah, come on, your table's ready now. Come on this way, like table's ready. It was just like, wait a minute here.
I'm sure working. I mean, when did they reopen? Was that their first weekend?
Sometime over the weekend. It was the first weekend, yeah.
Okay.
But
so it probably was pretty hectic.
I'm sure it was. And so we didn't give him that. And like he came over to our table later and was like, oh, he wasn't our waiter or anything, but he was like, oh, I think he was like the manager of the area. And it was, oh, how's the meal? Blah, blah, blah. So like it was fine, like at the end of the day, but it was kind of weird just the way that it was all done and said at first. But the waitresses and waiters were all wearing masks appropriately. Like I feel, besides ignoring that thing because it could have just been like hecticness or whatever, but it was a good experience of exactly what opening up of restaurants and such should mean.
We don't got none.
And I heard that you
no, we don't have any of that. It's not that. None of that. You know, so I've learned a cool new trick. Tips and life
stay home
life hacks. Well, that's the biggest tip or trick I could impart upon any of you. Please just stay home if you don't have to. Like I mean, you too, Jeff. Don't go out to eat.
Well, Ohio's such a weird place because I swear to God, this around Columbus, Ohio, everybody's going to be fucking in shape and jacked because every time I've been there, all you see on the street is runners, joggers, bikers. Like it's just so many people. And there's like it's a very nice suburban area with a lot of like playgrounds and stuff. The playgrounds are all like taped off, which is kind of ironic because everybody's just jogging and running around them. Like Jack goes on a little scooter. Like he's gotten so good at scootering. He's a 3-year-old and he freaking tears down the street, like twisting the biggest like turns you've ever seen in the scooter. Like you think this kid's been scootering, for 30 years. Like that's how good he is at this stuff now. But like that's all that's happening in this place. Everybody is just out and about and like doing this stuff, and these people are just going to be like the models of fitness when this is all over.
That's funny. Yeah, so this weekend, so the life hack I've learned, I mean, everyone else probably knows this, especially if you're younger than either of us. I didn't know that in Snapchat, I knew that Snapchat could track your location because I made sure to turn mine off. And I knew that, because I've dated people that we'd snap back and forth. And, I knew that I could see them on the map, but I knew they couldn't see me because I had it turned off. What I didn't know is you can just open the map and it shows, hot spots where people are posting videos and pictures. And you can just click on them and look at anyone that's public's, posts at that location. So that kind of blew my mind. I didn't know that was even a thing. But once I discovered that was a thing, I have become addicted to it. I'm like some kind of weird fucking voyeur where I'm just sitting there looking into people's Snapchats from the comfort of my home. And on the first night we reopened in Raleigh, I did a little bit of that, or quite a bit of that, honestly. I pretty much probably looked at every single Snapchat in Raleigh. And I had been out to the store that day to get my grandma her medicine, and it's at a grocery store. So I'd gone to the grocery store, got her medicine, and while in the grocery store, I had already seen that the little bit of mask usage we had going on was just gone. Now that we're in phase 2, there's no need to wear a mask, period. And and that was also the first full day that restaurants had opened in my state at 50% capacity. So on my way back home, I drove by several restaurants to kind of peek and see what was going on. And that shit ain't no 50% capacity. They're packing that shit full. But then when I went home that night and started looking on Snapchat at what was going on in like the busy part of Raleigh, where like the breweries and stuff are at, because bars are still closed, but breweries are open, and any bar that serves food can be open. So it's pretty much there's lots of loopholes to get into being open.
Difference between a brewery and a bar that serves, or excuse me, a brewery and a bar that doesn't serve food.
What's that? What's the difference between?
Yeah, and I mean, I know fundamentally what the difference is one makes their own beer. One does not.
That's the only difference, as far as I know.
Why would that get you any difference in?
I don't know. I think they're classifying beer as a craft food.
Interesting.
Because that was an exception that was made by the governor after there was a fight about breweries specifically, because originally they were considered the same as a bar, and then there was a big disagreement about this, and the breweries won, and so breweries were now included in the 50% reopening that included restaurants. But yeah, the shit is packed. And when I looked at the Snapchat, like if you want to look at it too, guys, you can just easily open up your Snapchat and just go to Raleigh and start clicking around, and maybe you'll find the same shit I saw. But if that's not still there, it's on the Raleigh subreddit too. So if you go to reddit.com/r/Raleigh, you can there's posts of these Snapchats too. And people were just fucking partying. Like I showed you this before we started, but that's not the only ones. That was just one example of the parties that's going on in Raleigh on the first day of reopening. And what's so frustrating to me is not, I mean, that in itself is already frustrating, but I'm frustrated that we even moved into phase 2 period, because our guidelines and the CDC's guidelines said that as long as there was an increase in hospitalizations and new positive cases from day to day, that you could not move from phase 1 to phase 2. And we've had exactly that. Like our increase day to day, Gollum just spawned, has been going up ever since. We just had our biggest day ever the day phase 2 started. So I'm just really worried what the numbers are going to look like in there's a baby villager out here. He's escaping. He's gone.
Oh, he spawned outside? There's another one spawned inside. There was 2 different groups.
Yeah, he spawned. He ran away.
Dude, they had an orgy, and one of them is like twins, one outside, one inside. Yeah, this guy's. Yeah, the other one came in. Oh God, they can get out! Oh God, they can get out! I didn't realize that. Oh God, there was 3 of them. Oh dear.
They're on the lamb.
I made a mistake. I put up. I was just thinking one tall.
Yeah, you gotta put half slabs in there or something.
Oh yeah. That's what I got.
I imagine don't close it up yet though, because I imagine they'll come back in there tonight.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, that one ain't. He's in the water. He ain't coming back into nobody.
Oh, shit. He did. Where'd the other one go?
He's running around over here beside me.
Will he actually come back down here?
I think he will. I think he'll come to the beds.
Okay. Yeah, tonight I will have to come back down here and close this off.
I wonder what he'd do if I ring the bell. Oh, shit. Oh, well. Oh, Lord.
Well, you should be able to get out, because I had to play my way out of there, too. Hold on. Let's see if I can ring the bell. Oh, there he is. Oh, he's not in the water yet.
I thought he fell down here.
Oh, God damn it. I tried to click the bell with a slab in my hand.
Does that do anything?
Go. He's in. I don't have enough. Quick. Okay, seal it up with that. Oh no, there's still another hole. Seal it. Okay.
So, long story short, I feel like North Carolina is gonna have a huge surge in about 2 weeks. If any one person was sick at any of these type of gatherings I saw, they had to infect the whole place.
Well, what did they say? I don't remember where it was, but they said that there was some like drive-through graduations that they were doing at places. And then actually we saw like a drive-through graduation happening when we were in Ohio too. It was kind of cool. They were driving up and down the street, like they do their thing and they drive up and down the street, beeping their horn, and their cars were all like covered.
Right.
I think that's kind of a cool concept to do. But I guess they were talking on a story this morning that there was, and I don't know how they got this information so fast, if it was known beforehand or happened after, but it was literally like, oh, a person with a drive-through graduation had a gathering with friends after the graduation, and the person who had the gathering is positive and is exposed to like 28 people. And I'm
Right.
just like, well, wait, what?
I mean, is that the
How
whole
is that?
contact tracer's job is to trace that?
I mean, yes, but why did that person? I can't figure out if this person had
Are you
a
asking like how did they do this if they knew they were sick?
you're right. Did they do it knowing they were sick, or did they do it and then find out
Right. I would
they
hope
were
the
sick
latter.
afterwards? And that's what I couldn't figure out because it was like literally it was just about this weekend. So
Right.
did all of a sudden the guy go in on Tuesday or whatever and was like, oh shit, I got COVID, or was it I knew I had COVID, but I had to party.
I would hope it's that. But I did read an article about a woman in God, it was either Wisconsin or Montana. It was one of those two. I don't remember. I know these aren't related in any way, but I can't remember.
Witstana.
Yeah, in one of these, um, she knew she had COVID, but she needed money, so she continued her job as a hairdresser and exposed 89 people to COVID.
Ooh, that's
Um,
rough. Is that
yeah,
going to be like having sex with somebody when you have
that's
AIDS?
those.
You
I've been
don't
reading a lot of
know them?
articles about that, questioning that. Like, apparently, only 30 states have laws that if you know you're infected with HIV and you have sex and don't tell your
Really?
partner, that it's illegal. So there's still 20 states that's not even a law. Um,
So what? So what happens if you do it on an airplane?
you need to hire a lawyer.
Like, does federal law take over for things that happen in an airplane?
Well, that's what they tell you actually when you're boarding the plane. That is part of the things they say is that federal law governs illegal acts upon the plane. So yes,
Is it federally illegal?
I don't know.
I
I
don't
don't
know
think
either.
so. I doubt it. Because typically federally illegal are things that they're assuming states aren't handling on their own. So that's one of those things that's probably left up to the state. So I'm going to
Yeah,
say no. I don't know, but I'm going to say no.
wow. That I mean, that's interesting to think about. That if something was illegal in a state but legal federally, like that, you could do it. You
Yeah.
know, what if it was even legal in all 50 states but not on the books federally?
Yeah, that's a weird one. I feel like they'd find a way to stick it to you, right? Like
I mean, like you did to that person on the plane without telling him you had HIV.
uh yeah. How crowded have you noticed an uptick in flights since you're Mr. Flyboy now?
Yes, absolutely. This weekend was definitely all the seats on the plane, minus the middle seat. I can't say all the seats, but there was two people per row in most of the rows, and I mean like two people on each side of the aisle.
Yeah.
So like, and I still got exit rows the whole time, which was great. But I did have somebody sitting in the aisle seat on one of my flights, and the last flight I didn't, and I think it was because the people when they got on the plane like felt bad about sitting next to somebody, and then when they realized that there was no other like room when they got to the back of the plane. Keep in mind, they're still not letting you sit in the first X number of rows and the last X number of rows because it's a weight thing. So based on the number of people, they have to make sure the weight is dispersed appropriately. So they tell you like when you board this plane, we're only seating in rows like 4 through 38 or whatever like row it is.
Right.
So it's not necessarily, I wouldn't say it's a quote unquote full flight minus the middle seat because there's rows that are empty. But I think a lot of the people pass the exit row and then realize that, oh shit, I can't sit back where I saw empty seats at. And they would just sit with somebody else in the back. So on the way back, I had like the exit row to myself again, which was awesome.
Nice.
But it was definitely, there was like 78 people on one of my flights and 70 some odd other people on a different flight, which previously I had 26 on the first flight I took and like 23 on the way home.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
definite difference, but it was a holiday weekend.
Right.
So I don't know if that's because things are going back toward normal or if it was because it was a holiday weekend.
I had been tracking the statistics for a while, but I haven't looked at them recently. Because you remember me telling you about it going from like that 1 week it was 95,000 versus 2.2 million previously for the same period. What'd you say?
You coming back over to sleep?
No, I'm terrified. There's a zombie horde over there, and there's so many of them are babies. But yeah, I can sleep. I was trying to kill them, and then I started getting overrun. They're definitely trying to get that village.
Yeah, I mean, you see a lot of like news articles that are talking about the flights getting back to normal, but at the same time, the flight offerings are so much less. The very first flight that I took out to Ohio, so that we're talking a month ago now, because I've gone every 2 weeks essentially. I've gone 3 times, so it was essentially 4 weeks ago, just over that I went for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
and there was like a lot more flight options that I had.
Oh, so there's less flights flying.
Well, and then the second time I went, there were a lot more streamlined options, and like I remember coming home the last time I had a choice between like an 11:30 flight in the afternoon or a 5:30 flight at night. That were the two only nonstop flights back. And when I got to the airport, the 5:30 had been canceled, and now there's only been one. Oh God,
Huh. I didn't realize the zombies came down in here. They were trying to get to the villagers.
Yeah,
Interestingly,
now there's only the one flight. Like
really, the baby villager is not dying down there because he's too short.
Oh, can we pick him up in a bucket? Is he gonna get killed by the zombies though?
I think he'll die when he grows up. Maybe.
That's probably true.
Pick him up in a bucket.
He is down there, just like running around.
Yeah, poor little guy.
Yeah, sorry, bud. Live and you learn.
That zombie there's not dying either, though.
Yeah, but it's because it's meant for iron golems.
Right.
So there's a spot in there where he can live.
These iron golems just spawn atrociously slow. Oh, he's done it out here again, and I hate it.
Wait, he did spawn out here again?
Yeah. Look how much I've filled in, and it still doesn't.
I mean, so I guess we need to look up between episodes. What is the spawning radius of these things? Because maybe there's a Y level
that we need to be at,
or that they spawn at regularly.
Huh. All right. Well, we'll look that up, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
All right. See you.